This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
So start like this.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve this afternoon, where it's actually bright and, well, it is going to be actually warm. So in the meantime, jump aboard to your very own live safari through African wild. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve again here in Sabi. We're all in Lowfield. It's pretty beautiful sky, open there. My name is Andrew. On camera, I have Daza this afternoon. So this is actually our plan. We're gonna check around, look perhaps for the duckman. But as you can see, everybody, such a cloud there and there. This is actually how promised for the day, since this morning it was slightly colder and then eventually it's opened up. So we actually happy to experience such a weather like this, and then we're going to be traveling, searching for a watering hole and everything like that. So everybody, we would love to hear from you, all the questions and comments that you always send every time. We're all enjoying them, so you can do so also by sending them using hashtag @WildEarth. Hashtag WildEarth on Twitter and also @FC on YouTube. If you are under the age of 18, you can pop us an email there, then you still use kids' questions at wildearth.tv, or easily if you actually go to WildEarth website and head over to the live safari page. This is when you sign in, and then you can submit your question there. So everybody, I'm gonna take my way down. Are we in the area? I was not in the area where the duckman was, but I will eventually find where he is. Otherwise, we'll be searching for some watering hole around here. Perhaps the rest of the pride. They may not be around there with him, because I know there was a little bit of a meet where I guess once things like that happened, male, they're more likely to push all the females away if it's the less meat that is left. So we'll find out as we go check. So of course Chris is going to be checking perhaps for Tlalamba there. Hopefully they get lucky, and then that's the plan for them. They're going to be searching on the southern side of the dam, northern side of the dam. This is where Tlalamba was seen in that area, in that drenched line. So Pride Lands JP will be actually on a walk for everybody. It's going to be very interesting. And then Phinda Wade will be mobile, searching for animals, see what they can find for everyone, as well as an Ngala. Oh yes, they will be also out with the drone on search for the animals. So this is how we're going to be bringing everybody this sighting live. So everybody, as I'm traveling down, checking for the duckman, hopefully to find him, let's quickly take a look at the weather on our various locations.
Truly one of the most impressive antelope in the whole of Africa. Good afternoon, everybody. You're live with me on safari in the Loveveld of South Africa. My name is Chris, and I'll be taking you on an adventure again this afternoon, where we are going to be looking to follow up on that leopard that Andrew spotted briefly this morning. We'll just work the general area, and in addition to that, we would also endeavor to find a bit of variety, and it seems like we are off to a very good start with this very tranquil herd of kudu looking to come to the waterhole to quench their thirst. It has to be noted how cautiously they approach the waterhole. This would be a prime area for an ambush by a predator. And there has been quite a bit of activity around this waterhole in the last couple of days. So there would be quite a bit of scent lingering around. Those males are also following behind him. Two very, very impressive males. Lynn, I totally agree with you. If I have to pick one particular antelope as a favorite, it would surely be kudu. I love how gracefully they walk. Those large ears that's just like radar dishes. And again, to mention those males with those massive corkscrew horns. It's always a good idea this time of the day, especially on a slightly sunny day, to just sit at a waterhole and observe around you. And we've been here for about 10 minutes, and already there's been impala, we've had baboon, there's a couple of geese, and now this unusually large group of kudu. Normally you would find about 5 to about maybe 9 or 10 individuals, and I've counted about 13 in this group, including the 2 bulls or males. Good afternoon, Jason. In fact, their social structure is somewhat different to impala. Impala would be a harem system where you will have a male or a ram with his group of females within his territory. The males combat each other during the rut season for possession of these territories, and they maintain them throughout the year, even after they've mated with the females, and that territory would come with the females for that season. Now, kudu are not territorial. The nucleus or core of the group would be a group of females or cows, and the males will only temporarily associate with them, usually in the breeding season, which is much less defined than that of impala. Impala would often have a very strict breeding season, often at the end of summer going into winter or autumn, which is usually around May, whereas kudu would potentially stick with the females throughout winter, which is the case with this group that we see here. we will be sitting and observing this kudu just for a little bit of time. It's always a good idea. You never know if something might happen. Perhaps a predator might show its face. One of the most calming and rewarding activities one can do out here on safari in the African bush is to just observe, listen, appreciate, and just let nature enrich your soul. We're just going to observe this very tranquil scene for about a minute or so and just experience. That was certainly a moment to remember. A moment that calms one's soul and just makes you feel that this is where you should be. Live here in the African bush.
So everybody, since we have said that we're going to go look for the dark mane Talamati pride also, so we got into the area. In fact, it's not actually very thicket over here. It's just the burned section where he is at the moment there. And then you still have a little bit of that young zebra, looks like was a fall zebra. And he's going to guard that meat there. In that case, we weren't going to be allowed any one of these female or any one of the young male within the pride to actually share there, because it's not enough. And there are wooded vultures in here. You can see how they are just searching around for possibly the fallen off or missing of a chunk that may be lying about on the floor. And that's why sometimes when the females go without the male, it started from this point. If now the female decided to move because they cannot feed anymore in that, he's holding it back. And then they're going to move far without him. And he won't mind now letting them go. Oops. He's up. But when he's done, you're in need to find them urgently. So this is what the male lions do. Always, wherever it's lions, this is the same situation. Just a bit of a shade in there, not much for sure. So his belly, it's got a meat in that, so that's why paint, full belly that. You can see all of all the sun is penetrating through. Then he's gonna probably, he's gonna have to probably drag that kill it, follow that shade around. But he won't stay far away from it, or he won't even have a chance to go drink, because it was a female that she's lying on the road. So everybody, we're gonna stick here still. In the meantime, let's go across to Ngala with Ron, who would like to say hello to everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Ngala. It's been quite some time, but nice to have all of you back with us. So we've got quite a nice plan for the afternoon. This morning, well, actually no, let me start. Yesterday morning, the Birmingham Pride killed a buffalo, just in here to our right, and it was absolutely amazing to see. The aggression that went through the sighting was phenomenal. I mean, they just kept fighting and growling and snarling and smacking each other for probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. The reason for this is because it was 23 lions altogether. So the entire Birmingham Pride was feeding on one buffalo. So luckily, because they had the buffalo and they're quite full-bellied, they didn't really move too far, and that's where we are off to now. So we found them this morning. It's quite a nice open area. They were just lying down looking for some shade, and I am pretty sure they'll be in the exact same spot this afternoon. So fingers crossed. We're not too far away now. We'll be there soon. By the way, I'm Rowan behind the camera. I'm so sorry, man. Anyway, so here on our right hand is the solar site where we left them, and hopefully they are still in the same spot. Got a few been through here. It was funny, this morning we heard them roaring, and so we walked in on the eastern side of the drainage line, hoping to find them, and then they started roaring again, luckily, and then decided, okay, no, turn around again and come check on this side. So I am just going to go off-road from here and see if they are still in the same spot, hopefully. Good afternoon. Welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. And we found a really interesting scene over here. These two giraffes have picked up some bones over here. And if you have a closer look, can you see this? It looks like a piece of a rib that this giraffe has been munching away on. Quite a bizarre scene to be beheld this afternoon. But this is, wow, look at that. This is quite a common thing that we tend to find with the your prey animals. But welcome everybody. My name is Wade, and as usual behind the camera we have Owen this afternoon. And yeah, we left this morning, this afternoon, looking for the lions nearby. Apparently there was a carcass with a giraffe carcass that they had been feeding on, but when we got there, found no sign of them. So we've been moving around, and we've managed to find these giraffe over here. And what we're seeing over here, look how it's going down. Maybe picking up another piece of bone. This is an amazing behavior that we can often see with a lot of the antelopes and herbivores, and it's called osteophagy. And essentially what they're doing here is they're just trying to supplement their diet. These aren't suddenly carnivorous giraffe or anything like that, but all they're trying to do here is add calcium and phosphorus to their diet, because they wouldn't normally get enough of that from the leaves and twigs that they eat. But by eating a bone here and there, they really help to supplement it. You'll actually sometimes see them eating dirt or like soil, stones as well. This giraffe that's closest to us there, the one that's in the middle on the right hand side, actually looks like it's got quite a bad injury to its eye. I don't know if you can see. Look at that. No, you can see it. I wonder what happened there. It does look quite old, but very often they are quite prone to injuries. Up there, it spits the bone out. They are quite prone to injuries, by if they run from a predator or just running in general, moving through the bushes. Maybe he caught a stick in the eye at some stage, but it doesn't seem to be phasing him. Doesn't look too healthy. See that real purple tongue. We're gonna look around here a little bit more. There seem to be a lot of general game in the area, but let's see what else we can find.
My name is Nomfundo Ndlovu, and I'm the Senior Project Manager for the Wesa Schools and Youth Unit. I'm a qualified horticulturalist. I'm particularly passionate about supporting schools towards working through their sustainability journey and towards food sovereignty throughout food gardening projects. A typical day in my work involves me overseeing our national projects and creating an enabling environment for schools to thrive and succeed in working towards self-reliance and sustainability, and really ensuring that no school gets left behind.
Being nominated to the top 5 and finally being here, for me it's an achievement. Tracks, I believe I did quite well, and the walk, and sometimes you often drag their feet forward. The storytelling as well, so yeah, I think that's where I see my strongest point. And then that was the opportunity of the scraping. I say the bedding and the call, definitely for me. It was quite a big challenge. Guiding is not all about the award that we have had, but sharing the experience and continue to do what we have passion and love.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Okay, so our plan worked. So we'll start you on the elephant, a big bull that just came across a little riverbed, and he had his head up a little while. It's the scent of the entire pride is being blown onto the elephant. So they are just off to the left. They're watching him, and he's watching them. See, one of the cubs already ran away and just dipped into the riverbed to try to get away from the elephants. But the rest of the lions are still lying down, casual. They are faster than the elephant, and yeah, they don't want to leave the shade. They're quite comfortable. So, but it would be fun if the elephant came charging. I actually think that this pride might have had a fight this morning, because you've got, that's the blonde Rossmale, and some lionesses and cubs, and maybe the other Rossmales behind the bush there somewhere. And then far off to the right, must be a distance of about 100 to 150 meters, there are the sub-adults. All of them have their heads down now, but yeah, quite some distance between them. So I wonder if the Rossmales maybe lost their tempers with some of the males again and caused a bit of havoc. Keep watching the elephant. The elephant's not moving now, so he's behind a bush for us as well. He's coming a little bit forward. And I literally do think he just caught their scent rather than seeing them. They'll blend in very, very, very well from that distance. Them just lying down, especially in the shade of a tree. But he would have no difficulty smelling them. There was also a hooded vulture that was circling a little while. Also came down. Victoria, you are right. They are. So of course this is the Birmingham Pride, and they're now considered a super pride. So there are 23 of them altogether. Well, I'm including the Ross males, because, the one that just fell down is one of the Ross brothers, and I'm including them into the pride and together. You can actually see the cub is returning because the elephant turned around and is now heading back. So that was the cub who ran. Yeah, Victoria, they are impressive. And the nice thing is now they're actually hunting a lot of buffalo. So they've built up the confidence, and they know now that we can hunt buffalo, we can kill buffalo. And it's a good meal for a pride this size. You can imagine Impala isn't going to really go very far between 22 lions. Neither really will a zebra. But I think, we'll see them all together like this for maybe a day or two, and then they'll split up again, and they'll come back together, they'll split up again, and then eventually the young males will have to leave. They're getting to that age now, they'll go live a nomadic lifestyle until they're old enough to take over territory and form their own pride. So sadly, don't really know how long we're still going to see the white male. You can hear the elephant now. He's back in the river, in that little riverbed. There's quite a bit of water in their nice little pan system that you might go drink from. Yeah, so we might sit here, we might change our position a little bit just to see what different angles we can get, show you the white lions maybe. But for now, we'll send you over to JP, who just wants to say hello to everyone.
Good afternoon and welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands and we're just about to start our bush walk. So our plan for this afternoon is to walk to an area that is known as Red Earth. So what we normally look for is the smaller little things in nature which you don't see on a vehicle. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we have Jared. So in terms of the small things that we do look for, those are tracks, field signs, insects, and little things that you never tend to see with a vehicle as you always rushed and focus on the larger components within the ecosystem. It's also one of the reasons why I like walking, because it puts me onto the ground and allows me to see all these little wonderful small things. But it also has encouraged me to study very hard and to learn about these smaller components, which makes the ecosystem tick. Let's have a look at what's going on in the dam for first. Our Egyptian geese is still here, and we counted the chicks a little bit earlier. It seems that all 8 of them are still here. However, there's one that always tends to go and do his own thing. Probably like every family, there's always that little one black sheep that does his own thing. It's amazing how quickly they grow, and by the week we can see that they're actually getting larger and larger. When I got here the first time, they're almost the size of their heads if we compare them to when I first noticed them at the dam. One of the fascinating things is that they will actually nest in holes in the ground or in trees. And quite often they utilize red-billed buffalo weaver nests or old hammerkop nest, where they'll nest on top, and once all the chicks have hatched, they'll simply jump down and follow the parents and never return to the nest again. Just going to allow you for a moment to enjoy the scenery, and then we're going to move off.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Now get all the pride of Talamati, such a beautiful area, but also what privilege to be in Masai Mara, in there where there's got to be such a beautiful year 2022, and then now we found ourselves sitting here with these lions. Wish they were actually also there since all of the activity that it's actually about to happen, and of course a lot of wildebeest. The food source is going to be plenty for cat species for sure, but unfortunately they're so far away from there. So this is the Atalamati, the member. It's all of them here. We count 7, so 1 is there with the dark mane, so that's number 8 then. And then a few days ago we count 9 of them, including the male. Then there were 10. Maybe it happens another that I cannot see. It's a young male here. Only 2 young male that are here, which they should be 3 young male. Not sure what happened. Basking in the sun. They're actually just all about digest, but not that all of them are full stomach that I see there. Some have a full tummy, some don't, due to the probably so many of the pride here. When I look at that young zebra, I doubt that everybody had enough before the males say, no, you leave it for me. They were in a little shade there, but it's moving on. It's not actually descent through that, it's just a little. There's a comment, I just missed the name there. Estrid, sorry, yes. You were saying it's always great to see the pride, the Talamati pride. Yes, it's always great privilege to have the pride, such as the Talamati pride. Although they're pushing so much across to the north and then back into the area, they actually were seen Chito that area, so they move far east of the reserve. But we are in the northern sector here, northern end of the Sabi Sands itself. And then this is where they mean to roam around in and out. And the other pride, which I think there seems to be coming in, they call Mbali pride, which I haven't met them, but they were seen today even in the north, Manyeledi boundary. It's too far from us to get there. And then I'm not sure how many males are there, what challenge that could be for the pride, such as the Talamatis and the Avoca, the duck mane. So we're going to stay put with a pride here in the watering hole. In the meantime, let's go across to Phinda there with Wade.
And we're back here at andBeyond Phinda, and we've come to a nearby watering hole, quite a massive one, and we've just spied this beautiful bird up here in this dead tree. And it really is an amazing looking thing. It's an African fish eagle, but if you look at it, it doesn't have that sort of classic look that we expect, that big yellow bill and that beautiful white and brown on the body. This is still a youngster, and if you look at the white patch, you'll see quite a lot of black or dark flecks on it, and even on on what would be the wings and the lower belly, still a lot of patchy brown colors. So this would be an immature fish eagle. You can just see when it looks our way that there's a bit of yellow starting to come on the bill. But yeah, this one would have grown up here, and it's nearing maturity, but it's still going to take a while. When they're at this age, they're often easy to confuse with a western osprey, but for that you'll need to get a bit of a closer look, and the eye is one of the sort of telltale factors in deciding which one it is, because the western osprey often have this sort of black line that goes back from the eye there, but they have yellow eyes, whereas this fish eagle has a much darker eye. And right here at the edge of this waterhole, this is the ideal place to be. And actually, when we were driving away from this giraffe we saw just now, we heard the fish eagles calling in the distance, and did a little detour past the waterhole, and we haven't even come to the main part yet. We've just come to the start of it, and we've managed to find this fish eagle. You can hear all the birds calling around, and the water, this is just the start of the water. If we go further along, we'll come across the main section we have a comment coming in from, I think it's Deer, on just how different the youngsters look compared to the adults. And, sorry, ear. Diol, I think it is. Forgive me for that. Oh, there it flies off. Look at that. They are so wildly different from the adults. They're settled just out of sight there. A lot of birds change quite significantly, and especially with these bigger birds, from the martial eagles, the battaliers, these fish eagles, they actually sort of born a completely different color and slowly over time get their adult plumage. But it's quite an amazing thing to see. Let's drive a little bit forwards and see if we get around the corner, if we can get a better look at this. A better look at this fish eagle. We're gonna have a look around here for a bit, but we'll be back shortly.
Good afternoon and welcome to Bushwalk. So when we're out here on a walk, we always try and be as quiet and stealthy as possible. And a few things that we always focus on is how we walk. And when we walk, we tend to always walk into the wind so that animals don't detect us. Something else that we always look at is where we put our feet, but we don't unnecessarily step on branches, as animals have incredibly good hearing. One of the other things that we do when we walk is we learn to actually roll our feet. And when you roll your feet, and you step on your heel and you roll inwards, it will allow you for walking very quietly compared to a normal city dweller that will just flop his feet down and make an incredible large noise. We also like to use a sufficient amount of cover, but animals don't see us and that we rather see them before they can spot us. We're going to continue our walk and let's go and see what else we can go and find. In the meanwhile, enjoy the landscape. It's absolutely stunning here in the later part of the winter months.
So we still here at the dam, and then there is pride of line. They don't actually look like they're going to do anything now. So we may go back to the male there just to see how he's doing. When he's last eaten in that, we're not sure. but also since it's quite a lot of the vehicles that are actually getting mobile, so they in Bevelsuk, I gotta make space for the other vehicles to come to this bride, and then we're perhaps going to join the male there, because then he's in a boundary. They may sometimes, when it's cool, off and then walk straight back to there, because there's so one lioness in that area, and they knew that she has left behind there. That was actually successful hunter killing the zebra. Thought we saw some of these zebra yesterday, just before dark. And this is when we returned back to the bride yesterday. They were all just vanished, gone. So they perhaps got their little bit of a smell on the zebra and then walked straight into that drainage line, and that's why we couldn't find them. We look around with a spotlight when we return back to check where we have left them. So everybody, I'm gonna leave them. In the meantime, let's go across to Phinda there with Wade, who is doing some birding.
Welcome back here to Phinda. We've just shifted around the waterhole, and there is the most incredible bird party going on around here. We've got this brown-hooded kingfisher who's sitting there quietly and silently, just staring. And it's quite an interesting thing, because where he is over here, he's actually facing away from the water and looking at the ground instead of the water. And it's quite an interesting thing to note, because even though his name is Kingfisher, he is actually a predominantly insect-eating bird. So at the waterholes, we can look to find things like pied kingfishers and malachite kingfishers or giants, any of those, and those would be the ones fishing in the water. But something like the brown-hooded or the striped kingfishers will actually spend most of their time hunting insects. So even though he's here, right here by the waterhole, he's actually looking the other way and sitting absolutely dead still. He's been here for about a couple of minutes now, and honestly he's hardly moved at all. But a lot of birds calling around us. Lots of We have a comment coming in from Edwards, just saying how marvelous the sound is, and you are very right. There are a lot of dark-capped bulbuls flying around here. There's sticulars, there's some starlings on the top of the trees, and further out in front of us we've got a couple of egrets perched on the trees, and a grey heron who's just staring at us from a dead tree across the way. And that one in the middle looks like a African spoonbill. He has his head tucked into his wing, but it does look to be a spoonbill. There's a few sunbirds that have been flitting around in the trees next to us as well. I've seen a few white-bellied sunbirds, and here's these dark-capped bulbuls in this little tree just to the right-hand side. There we go. You can see that distinctive yellow patch under the tail. Always birds that you want to look out for. They're one of the more common birds you would find around here, but even though they're fairly common, they are a good indicator of a bird party like this. So if you ever hear a lot of these bulbuls, always worth stopping and taking a listen, because there's a good chance there's going to be other birds around. just as what we're experiencing here. But while we see what other rare and beautiful birds we can find here, why don't we head back and see what Rowan is up to with those lions.
Yeah, not really up too much, I'll be honest, just doing what lions do best and sleeping. In the foreground you can see, well, two of the cubs have their heads up. I think the one on the right might get up. She just put her head down. Never mind, that was a lie. But they've been moving around just a little bit, every now and then still peeking to where the elephant disappeared to. But otherwise not too much. It's usually the cubs that get quite bored. So there are 4 of them there, and then 2 of the youngsters, well, the 2 youngsters that were born last year, April, and then I can imagine one of the mothers, and then further off into the distance, the white male's actually got his head up. He just keeps looking back every now and then. You see to his left the white sister. So eventually we'll drive to them as well and actually get a good head count of all the lions that are around us. I've not seen the other Ross male. I know he was here this morning. Sleeping, very full belly, quite content. But for now I haven't seen him. And I can imagine he's probably the one who caused the fight, which is why there's this separation between the pride. The sub-adults on one side, cubs and mother, and one Ross male on the other side. There might actually be lions in the middle of these two. Yeah, I mean, 22 lions scattered all over. It is absolutely lovely. Very, very cool. So with the wind, I think it is making quite a few of them wake up and pop their heads up because they'll be able to smell things from far away. And of course, the cubs are rather scared of the elephant coming back. So they just keep checking every now and then. So now the one that lifted his head, that is one of the youngsters that were born last year, April. To the lioness, that is the sister of the young Birmingham male. Exquisite lioness, very strongly built, amazing genes. And she did just incredibly well because she managed to raise these 2 cubs on their own, by herself. Hunted, killed, and both of them survived. Both of them made it to this age. So probably the most relaxed lioness of this pride. Remember last year when she was denning, we could actually walk straight past her about 2 meters, 3 meters. Not that we had a death wish or anything. We were just tracking her and trying to find out where her den was. And then boom, you would just see, oh, there's a lion in a bush here. Jackson, 23 lions, very, very, very intimidating. You know, if I was a giraffe or buffalo, even that elephant turned around. So yeah, no, it's quite a pride. Considered a super pride now, so any pride that has 20 or more members would be a super pride. So Birmingham Pride has reached that stage. And of course the 2 white lions, as if they weren't famous enough. You can still hear the elephant every now and then. You just hear branches cracking. Yeah, it's to the left, not far, and maybe about 80 meters away from the lions. Okay, so we might shift positions again, go a little bit forward, see where actually all the lions are. But yeah, sit here or stay here in the area for a little while.
scribe collected a dry grass, put it next to the water hole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when he finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then, that was the opportunity of the scribe. You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So, we're still sitting here. We have left the entire pride at the dam. And then where we believe maybe later they may make their way back to this female here where she has left with the dark mane. But you can see her tummy is not actually as full. Sure, she's probably still hoping to get a little from the male, where I doubt it. He may not allow her. Now, when we talk about when it's split pride, when it's separated, it happens sometimes, overpopulated in pride. We've seen that. If I would remember of Tswalu pride, I think. Yes, and then there come so many of them in the pride, and that what happened, they come separated, so 5 would go different way, and then the other 7 will go different way. So some of the Tswalu pride, they actually make their way far into Djuma that time, but I never heard of them. So with the Talamati, they haven't been in a situation overpopulated. But it may happen sometimes because they have male for now. Then we've seen he's a young male there, his offsprings. Now they're grown up slightly, so but they're not yet being pushed out of the pride. But it will come in a time where then they have to leave the pride. And they're roughly 3 years upwards. They're going to have to leave the pride and look for their own territory, but away from the male, from their father. Since there are 3 young males in the pride here, if they grow up very well.
Does he decide when the pride has had enough to eat, Mike?
Mike, so you're asking this male, so he decides that their pride had enough to eat. So he would decide, especially at the beginning of, so if the kill is down, so he's got to check the size of the prey species first before they all eat. If it's impala, for example, they're more likely to be pushed off before they eat too much, or maybe just before they started. When he's around, he's just going to go, move them off. So he decided, but also that it was a zebra foal, which is pretty much more than bigger like an impala, and pretty much eaten. Maybe this is when he was not in the scene, in the area where the kill had happened. They have time to eat, but when he's arrived, then he found out there's not many of the meat, then that he decided to push them off. Do you see the on the burn section away from the kill, just after there's a mongoose moving, making its way close to that kill, but still far, like 6 meters away, slightly to the left, only if you see it there. It's one of the scavengers coming in there, somewhere there, no, to the right. Yeah, I just ran to the bush. So there's another scavenge. These are slender mongoose. They would sneak around to a big cats when they're not around. They can eat on any meat, these mongoose. So everybody, I'm not sure if I'll stay here long. I'll probably look for something else and come back later on. But in the meantime, let's go across to JP, who would like to show everybody some things on a walk.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We've just located a number of interesting spider webs that we found over here, and this belongs to a sociable spider, also known as a community web spider. And what we do find is that there's actually sometimes up to 100 or so of these spiders inside this little nest. That's just one of the spiders that are actually moving about. Let's see what he's getting up to. I don't see anything that's been caught in the web, and generally what these little spiders will do is they will send a number of spiders to go and capture the prey that's got stuck into the web. And depending on the size of the prey, that will determine how many of these spiders are going to be sent out to go and deal and incapacitate that prey and then drag it back into the inside. And that is then shared amongst all of the members within the group. I find it quite fascinating how spiders can actually become sociable and how they can actually work together as a team for their greater success. Generally, spiders are solitary, and we normally find that males and females don't really get along. And males are there purely for the purpose of mating and sometimes to be eaten by the females once that mating has taken place. Something else that we've also noticed right over here. This is a cocoon of the African silk moth over here. So there's a pupa that's inside there. So the pupa basically developed from a caterpillar, and what's happening at the moment with the inside of this little cocoon is that caterpillar just basically melted into a massive liquid and is slowly reassembling itself to form the silk moth. It's amazing how something can develop from a liquid soup. And then here we've got a number of other little things that's happening. We've got some ants that are here that are busy tending to some aphids. So for an ant, an aphid is the equivalent of what a cow is for a human being in terms of producing dairy. And these little aphids will produce a sugary substance which they will feed to the ants. And in return, the ants will protect these little aphids against other potential predators that might want to disturb them. So ants is also one of our social species of insects which we have over here. And just like termites, they've also got a number of different castes, which each have their own specific role. Generally, a large amount of workers, soldiers, and then those that are responsible for reproducing. The tree itself that we are looking at, this is a knobthorn acacia, or these days it's referred to as a Senegalia. And you'll notice that it's got tiny little hooked thorns. And this is one of the trees that we often point out on the walk, the one that the giraffe absolutely loves eating on. I just always find it amazing how that tongue doesn't get stuck on these thorns. We're going to go and see what else we can go and find. Let's see what other marvels nature has to offer.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
So we've changed our position once again, and Johan and I are literally surrounded by lions. It's actually such an amazing experience. So behind us, we've got two lionesses. One includes Granny, the very old lioness. Then there's a cub drinking, one of the younger ones from the mother. Then in front of us there's a young lioness, and just off to her right, oopsie, sorry girl. That was our old lioness, she had a bit of a cough. So in front of us, young lioness, and then to her right is a young male. The white lioness cuddling him, then the white male. Behind him, another young lioness flipping over. Well, that's on her back. Then another mother that's flipping over. Then a young lioness. Then a young male, the brother of the white male. And then to our right, we've got another two lionesses. So it's literally just lions everywhere. I don't think I could be in a happier place, really. And I think Johan would agree with me. So it's just the old lioness. She gives a cough every now and then. And we were just discussing, I would be very surprised if she saw the end of next year. She's losing condition more and more. Her coat is quite dirty. You can see a lot of ticks on her. Yeah, it's sad. This is coming to the end of an era. Poor girl. But mind you, she's still keeping up with the pride. I saw her have a fight with one of the Ross males the other day, and I'll tell you what, she is still super strong. She gave him a smack that he didn't retaliate from. And yeah, I probably would have been dead. It's also nice how they could cuddle in this sort of weather, especially the little white lioness cuddling a brother. Not quite a brother, maybe like a cousin. She only has a real sister, a true sister, same litter they were born into. And of course, yeah, she is the youngster of this old lioness that I was just speaking about. No, there was not too much action. Most action we get is them rolling over, trying to keep cool. Don't actually think they're going to be too active tonight. Richard, who's only 11 years old, wants to know if I can smell the lions. Richard, for now, luckily not, and emphasis on luckily, because they ate a buffalo, and I'll tell you, lion fart is not the most pleasant smell that I've had in my life. We are actually, where I'm sitting, I'm downwind from the lions that we showed you earlier, the lionesses and the cubs. But luckily far downwind, so I think all farts are going past us. But otherwise, Richard, I can promise you it's not the best. So we can't smell the lions. No. There's quite a strong breeze going, but all the lines you can see, the smell would blow in a different direction, in another direction, to the other side. I think I gagged once on WildEarth because of that smell. So not my proudest moment, but yeah, it happens.
we have left the Pride and then the Duck Main, so perhaps maybe later on definitely we'll go back there. Maybe the hyena, they may also be interested to come to that area. So we're gonna check around, you know, and hopefully we come across the leopard as well. No creases on look for a leopard on the other side. But we're gonna drive past Gari Dam also. May happen that Lalamba, since we lost her into that drainage line, maybe she still take it easy until it's cool for her to get mobile again. So that will be very interesting to see how she finally get up to, because she was looking west and then she dropped to the river, and that's where nobody knew where she gone. Perhaps cross that drainage line up to the western side, and then we check everywhere there. She couldn't come out anymore. So we're going to check the water hole and then perhaps go down to slightly north of the dam wall there, check around. There's a lot of anyalas around that area where they may happen that they get hunted during the day.
This lioness that's in focus now, she's also one of the sub-adults, but she's been hanging around with the two mothers and the 6 cubs quite often, which is good news for the mothers. I mean, more, and she's an excellent hunter by now, so of course more weight being added to the kill, it's better for them. So it's her and her sister that's been hanging around with the two mothers. Of course, one of the mothers is their mother. It's quite nice, 3 generations that stick around together. You can still see the elephant just to our left. It's now crossed the riverbed in the opposite direction, moving away from the lions. Dungeon Girl, good question. Will the Pride fight, or will the Pride help fight off other males? They definitely will, because what you have is new cubs in this Pride, 6 of them, that are still, some were born in December, others were born in February, so they're still very young. They don't stand a chance being off by themselves or even fighting. So you'll find that the mothers will get involved with the other males fighting. And then by doing that, if the mothers are involved, their mothers would be involved, which is the old lioness and white dot lioness. So yeah, literally this entire Pride will just pull together and fight off other males to try to take over. But the likelihood of a male lion walking in here with 2 dominant males and 21 other lions here, he must have a death wish. In all honesty, yeah. No, there must be something wrong with him if he wants to cause a fight with this Pride in the current state that they're in. So more likely what would happen is the males would find each other rather than just come in with the whole Pride around the male. Of course, if the Ross males had to roar tonight, all of the lions here will roar. So imagine how scary that must be for a nomadic male moving through the area, hearing 23 lions roaring. well, 6 of them mostly chirping or meowing. The cub can't really roar, but they try. They add their voice to it. Actually quite cute to see. Cute to listen to. Mind you, I use cute very lightly here, because I can tell you now, if you try to pick up one of these cubs, you will most likely lose an arm. Just to give an idea, they are the size of quite a large dog. A bit of a stretch, but that's about it. See the white male swishing his tail, so he's being irritated by flies, and every now and then he'll just flick his ear or move his skin, and twitch his skin. Nice to look around. You can see the young males definitely ate more of the buffalo carcass than the younger females. Of course, this is just, they're bigger, they're stronger, and they're more aggressive. Oh, this breeze is really picking up. Richard, I might be able to smell lions in a little bit if the wind's getting this strong. Be quite nice for them as well, nice and cool. I love it, that lioness hugging herself. It was just stretching, but it always looked like they hugged themselves. Wesley's asking who decides when the pride splits. Wesley, there's no real, leader who just says, okay, cool, you guys go this way and then we'll head east. So what happens is it will be the males that will cause a fight with the sub-adult males, and then the sub-adult males will run away. But now, I think this white lioness is so used to the white male that she'll actually follow, and then of course she has a sister, so the sister will follow. So yeah, there's no just clear, okay, let's take 11 of us this way and then the other 11 goes that way. It is literally, it's a fight because of the young males reaching that age where they'll actually become sexually mature, and it could be a bit of competition for the Ross males, so it's just time to leave. Mind you, it's often quite weird the way they split, because you'll get the 5-year-old lioness taking her 2 youngsters, and they'll go off in one direction, and then White Dot and the old lioness, they've been spending quite a bit of time with the sub-adults. Of course, these are their youngsters. They haven't had any youngsters this year. And they've been showing them around, almost just to places where they must have felt it's safe for the young males to move to once they get a little bit older, and again, away from the Ross males. And so, yeah, that's the thing. We can't say, okay, tomorrow the pride's just going to be split up forever, because they have been split up, and then they come together, and they split up again, and they have a fight, and then after that, after a week or so, they'll come together again. So we can't really predict the future. And just see what happens. There's no more movement anywhere around us. All of them are sleeping quite well now. So we can't see the other cubs where we are. They're behind a bit of a bush. But it's nice to know that all 6 of them are still around. They've split up quite a few times in the past 2 weeks. You'll find 3, and then they join up with a different mom. They go one way, and then you find the other 2 just by themselves on a termite mound waiting for mom to come back. So yeah, it's very weird the way they split. Anyway, we'll sit here for another little while. We're not getting pressure from other rangers to move yet, which is lovely. But for now, we'll send you to Wade on Phinda.
And we're back at andBeyond Phinda, and it seems birding is the theme of the day. We've come out back towards the open grasslands, and we've come across another waterhole. We were actually here yesterday afternoon where we saw the buffalo over here, and we're just having a look around. There's some egrets on the bank, and another spoonbill, some Egyptian geese on the right-hand side of the water with those white-faced whistling ducks. And I don't know if you can hear, they've moved off a little bit now, but there's a few crowned lapwings calling incessantly and flying around. There's one flying up in the air now on the left-hand side. There's 2 or 3 battaliers that are hovering around here. And they are being flocked and mobbed and chased by these crowned lapwings, which is quite a amazing thing to see. Even though these battaliers are way bigger than these tiny little lapwings, they are absolutely fearless when it comes to defending their nests or their young. So these lapwings most likely have a little nest or 2 somewhere in this short grassland, and the presence of these bigger predators is really concerning them, because these battaliers, while they are often scavengers actually, they would not hesitate to feed on the little chicks or ground-dwelling birds or anything like that. So the lapwings will try their best to chase them away as quickly as possible. And it's quite an amazing thing the way they do it. You may even sometimes see with predators on the ground, for example, like a little jackal or something. If the predator gets too close to the nest, the lapwings will actually sometimes even feign an injury, where they'll sort of limp or hold a wing out to the side to, try and distract the predator. And when it gets close, they'll just fly away. This battalier is coming right over us now. And they're all juveniles. The one is almost at its adult plumage with the black and the white bars on the wings. But the other 2 that we saw here are very much juveniles, where they're almost completely brown in color. Very productive, these water holes this afternoon. A lot of bird life around here. On the way here, we had a lot of rhino tracks heading up and down. And in fact, earlier on in the drive, we did have a lovely view of a rhino at one of the water holes. But unfortunately, our signal didn't quite hold out for it. But as we have a look around here, I think we're going to move along shortly and see what else we can find.
Every year in August, South Africa marks Women's Month. WildEarth would like to acknowledge and thank all the amazing females who have worked tirelessly to share our nature with the world.
We're gonna have to just wait, okay? She's gonna come out there just on my right-hand side, and she can see these impala.
Now you've got to inhale it. It burns! I don't know if it's supposed to work instantly. Go, girl, go! Get her! Get her, girl, get her! I'm so looking forward to following her story in the future.
I'm really hoping there's 2. I'm really hoping there's 2, but even if there's 1. Oh my goodness, everyone.
And I get to share it with you. Isn't that extra special? I get to experience it and show it to everyone.
It's day 1 of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
It's either francolin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. For those that are joining us for the first time, we're actually looking at the dung of a warthog, which is one of the pig species which we have out here in Southern Africa. Warthog has quite a wide distribution range compared to its cousin, the bush pig, which is normally only found in forested habitats. So quite often when we are watching warthogs, they're down on their knees, bent in, busy feeding because their necks is too short. And what they're basically looking for is shoveling open the roots and feeding on the roots. We've previously mentioned that they also do quite often feed on carrion, and I've personally seen them where they've chased a number of predators off a prey item and then consumed those carcasses. To show you the inside over here, how it looks like and what is inside, little pieces of grass as well as little pieces of roots. So with warthog, they're one of the first animal species that actually start losing their body condition, especially in the late winter like now, when a conservation manager will have a look at a warthog in a small game reserve, and you'll start noticing that they're losing more and more condition. They will then make the decision to supplement feeding for other animal species then as well on the reserve. However, in large conservation areas such as Pridelands, which forms part of a greater Kruger, we don't supplement. We allow things to naturally occur. And what we do find is that natural selection is such an important part to the survival of a species, where the weaker individuals in that group will be pushed out, and eventually only the strongest will survive as the ones that will mate. And the very best of genes then get carried over for the long-term survival of that specific species. We also find that during our winter months, we have a period of no rain in the northern parts of South Africa compared to Cape Town, which experiences a high amount of rainfall. This low rainfall periods actually also act like mini natural selection tools within the ecosystem to get rid of a weaker element. Then on a larger scale, we also undergo periods of between 7 and 10 years of incredibly high rainfall, followed by 7 to 10 years of incredibly low rainfall periods, which also has the same function as a natural selection tool. Especially those 7 to 10 year low rainfall periods can be quite brutal on animal populations. And I've gone through 2 of those cycles already. One of them just came to an end around by at the end of 2017. And it was the driest that I've ever seen the Kruger National Park. At that stage, 2015, I was still working with Tswalu and the Kalahari, and then came over to the Nwanetsi concession within Kruger. To be quite honest, the Kruger was drier and had less vegetation than the Kalahari, which is the arid western half of South Africa. But it's just amazing how quickly a sufficient amount of rainfall can let an environment recuperate. In the meanwhile, let's go and see what Chris is up to.
Well, an afternoon of hard work eventually paid off, and we managed to locate this young elephant bull. Following a herd of adults down to a waterhole below us. They since disappeared, and he chose to stay behind and have an early I would say a late lunch or an early dinner. We shouldn't just reposition a touch. Just do not go. Just reposition slightly, and hopefully we can get a slightly better visual, because he's now hiding in the shade again. Let's do that there. Seems to be a little bit indecisive as to what he wants to eat. He was just now browsing on that wattle tree there, that weeping wattle tree. And it's almost as if he just wants to observe us a little bit rather than the other way around. And now he's becoming a bit shy. Let's just see what direction he maintains. And in fact, let's just reposition. He's heading slightly away from us. And it's not uncommon to find a young elephant bull like this by itself. He is basically at that age where he would start leaving his native herd or his mother's herd, which usually in their teens, when they go through their puberty, roughly at about 12 to 15 years, and that will also be different from elephant to elephant. There we go. Good afternoon, Harold. If you know what to look for, it can become rather easy. Things that we would look for is size. Obviously, this is a young male, so if it would have been an adult male, it would have been a lot higher on its feet, a lot bigger. But then again, one can look at the temples, just on the side of the head. Usually the older they get, the more sunken those temples become. The tusks do grow thicker and longer, but most elephants, will be different. There's genetics involved there, so not every single elephant will grow long tusks. But one can look at the thickness, and then the width of the head can also tell you eventually how old they can get. And then there's basically their general appearance. They do seem to sort of take on this aged appearance eventually as they grow very mature. And it's a matter of putting together all these equations, and then it can point you towards a certain age. It is not always 100% accurate, but it will give you a good estimation as to how old the elephant would be. this would be a very young male. I would put him not older than about 15. Well, we're going to be leaving this young man to enjoy his early dinner or late lunch. And in the meantime, we're going to continue to see what we can find.
Okay, so we've got a new friend that joined us, a big Ellie bull. I'm actually quite excited to see what happens. So I don't know if he's seen the lions yet, but he has now stopped out in the middle. Pretty sure he would have seen us. Earlier on, he was trying to push over a tree, looked like maybe a combretum, and it woke up this entire section of the pride. So we're back actually with the one rascal. Oh, he's coming closer. This is going to be fun. I'll actually just sit quietly for a while and I want to watch this. Might take a while. It looks like a very big bull. Broken ear on the right side. I see some of the youngsters waking up. They're ready to move. What's going to happen? He's in must. See one of the cubs looking really uneasy in the foreground. The rascal just woke up. Okay, so now he's feeding behind the bush. I don't really think he's coming here just yet. But the youngsters are looking really uneasy. Well, except one of them, he's facing the other way, still on his back. Actually, Johan, I'm just going to go a little bit forward, because then we can have the pride in the foreground, elephant in the background. That's actually super nice. There we go. It's not something you get to see every day. That is very cool. So it's actually the first elephant bull I've seen in must this season. That big boy. Be easily recognizable with that big tear in his ears. You can see it's actually torn at the top and then still intact but folded down. This Rasmo even looks a little bit worried. He just gave us a look now. Poor guy. Now there's another elephant bull that was here earlier, and he's still on the other side of the riverbed. So we can hear him every now and then, but we can't see him. I remember about 6 or 7 years ago, there were two elephants that were fighting just in the same riverbed here. And yeah, one of them actually got killed by the other. And we were following this carcass. It lasted quite a while. And on, I think on day 2 or 3, there were 2 leopards that were feeding from it. The famous Fountain's Tom. He's a big male leopard that hung around in the south. And then the Susu female. So she passed away a few years ago. But we still have New Zulu female, which is one of her youngsters. She still hangs around in these areas. See, they're settling down a little bit now. So that little lioness, the one cub with the blue eyes, she's also here. So she's just lying on the other side of the big lioness that's next to the rascal. Here comes the elephant again. can see all of them just keeping an eye. So actually where he is now, you won't be able to run straight at them because there's a bit of a dip, like an eroded area. But yeah, he doesn't look too bothered about the lions. Maybe he's just not seen them yet. Just slowly carrying on and feeding. Also, I mean, I've seen it before where elephant bulls mind their own business and they just walk straight past the pride. You know, they couldn't be bothered. They are bigger. The pride isn't going to try hunt them. The Birmingham pride, not that I know of ever in their history, have they killed an elephant. They were seen feeding on one not too long ago, but it died of other causes. So I don't think their confidence have been built up that largely yet. Anyway, we're going to sit here and see what happens. Hopefully a bit of excitement coming our way.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We're walking in an area which is called Red Earth. As you can see, the soil coloration of this area is incredibly red. So what we're looking for at the moment is tracks of lions as well as leopard. Quite often we do find that they frequent these drainage lines. So quite often if you do find a single set of tracks of a lioness coming in and out of these drainage lines, it will often indicate that there's a potential denning site within this drainage line. That's when you actually have to be super cautious. As a guide, if you do walk into these type of areas, just make sure that the walls of these little drainage lines are not too high for you to get out, because you never would like to get yourself trapped between an animal and no escape route for the animal or yourself. We're just going to continue and walk on and go and see what we can find.
Can you believe it? I was on the way to try and get to a giraffe we spotted in the distance, and BK just suddenly urged me to stop. And right next to us we've got this red-billed hornbill seemingly taking his anger out on a piece of old elephant dung. However, he is looking for food, and my guess would be there could be quite a number of insect larvae in old elephant dung, as well as termites. Now, elephant dung is just digested plant matter, grass, leaves, twigs, pieces of bark, and it's a perfect area for things like dung beetles and a few other insects, even flies, to lay their eggs in. And I am convinced that that is what he's after. I can't get close enough to 100% observe exactly, and it's also too fast, this action, but it's almost certainly insects. My guess would be the larvae or something, or perhaps even termites. Obviously something alerted him there. This is one of a number of hornbill species that is found in our region. This is the red-billed hornbill, and also one of the common species, together with the yellow-billed hornbill, which has got a much thicker and longer beak, and obviously yellow in color, more sort of banana-like color. And well, we're going to leave this hornbill to just continue ravaging that piece of elephanting. We're going to send you over to another birding expedition.
And we are back birding on andBeyond Phinda, and we've just got a last glimpse of this quite a unique and strange looking bird. This is a black-bellied bustard. And not being rude, that really is its name, but this black-bellied bustard is quite a cool bird to get out in these regions, predominantly living in these wide open grasslands. And really a special bird to come across. And as the name suggests, it does have a prominent black belly, which we can just see from the underside as he's walking along here. But interestingly enough, only the male actually has that black belly. The female actually is only brown. This thing's just moving along here slowly, picking a little bit. They have the most fascinating call. People often refer to them as the champagne bird, simply because they've got this like where they sort of bring their head back towards their body, and it literally sounds like a champagne cork popping out the bottle, and pop, and they shoot their head forward. It's quite an interesting thing to watch. It is really windy out here in the grasslands at the moment, and we can just make out this bustard making its way off into the bushes. We've come back out to what we call the marsh, these wide open grasslands, hoping to find some plains game as we head towards the spot where we saw the lions this morning, wanting to see if they've left. But look at this beautiful view. As the sun is slowly getting lower towards the horizon, you see these clouds have rolled over. At the beginning of drive, it was really nice and clear, but this wind has picked up significantly and brought quite a few clouds with it. Hope we don't get rained on like we did this morning. We ended up getting rather wet there with the lions this morning, but it was absolutely worth it. We're gonna leave this odd little bird as he wanders along here, and let's keep driving. So while we're driving along, why don't you head over to Ngala and see what action they've got going on there?
So the elephant did come, and he just chased majority of the pride away. But hilarious, we've got the Ross male that literally came and he's just lying next to us. So I think he just feels safer where he is right next to us because we're a big unit as well. But yeah, majority of the pride is going across the, I think that was 13 lions altogether disappearing into the bush. But now what's interesting is you've got the sub-adults, they are behind us, and I think they'll probably come into frame rather soon. So they're just on this side, maybe even trying to stalk the elephant. But eventually they'll follow the rest of the pride. As you can see, the elephant really wasn't too bothered about the lions. It's not like he gave an aggressive chase at all. He just walked through the areas and they moved. Of course, the real king of the jungle is bigger. There's a bit of greeting going on here. There's a white lioness. The white male is right behind us on this side, passing through, and then they are following the exact same path that the rest followed. That is actually so cool. You've got 2 white lions on the outskirts and 2 tawny lions right in the middle. It's always nice to see them right next to each other for the color contrast. It's a white lion, but it's easier to get the contrast between the colors if they're next to each other. There's one young male that went through. Here's another one coming now. And then both Ross males are still with us. The grumpy one a little bit further off, and then the blonde one. Did you not? Maybe about 2.5 meters is where he chose to lie down and use a bit of our shade, which is lovely. Good for him, good for us. Give them some time. They'll also follow the pride. But how exciting, how nice to have them all wake up. Pretty much in the heat of the day. Where they're going though, there's a bit of water. So that would help them quite a bit. I think we should be able to follow through there. Just waiting for the one young male to come. He's to our right, and you can see the grumpy Ross male is actually watching him. It'd be a bit unfortunate if he just got a fright from the elephant. Yeah, so the grumpy Ross male just stood up. He's out of sight for now, behind a tree, but I could see his mane getting up. There's the one young male moving off. There's now marking territory, being a little bit, almost a sign of aggression, or, territorial, saying I'm still the boss here. Just waiting for one lioness to move through, and they'll probably follow her. So that is the white dot lioness, the one I keep talking about. She's huge. You could see the size difference between her and the Ross male. It's not really that much. And I've also seen her smack this Ross male in the face very hard, where he didn't retaliate. So the old lioness hasn't come past yet, but yeah, these two. He's trying to sniff whether she's in estrus. You wanted to smell the grass. I wonder if one of the lionesses maybe urinated in that area. There we go, a bit of territorial marking. It really is. Having them stand up bright daylight, especially after they ate the buffalo yesterday, it is so nice to see these lions walk by. Now we're just waiting for this lazy boy that's lying down right next to us whenever he wants to get up. But I think he'll give a fair distance for his brother to move first before he goes. Not too much love between these two, strangely enough. They're often just in competition, whereas the sub-adults, you can see it, the white male, his brother, and the younger male, there's a lot of love between them, a lot of grooming going on and all of that. So we're going to try across the drainage line, see if we can find them on the other side. Maybe they're drinking. Yeah, let's just try our luck.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more. Bookings open on Sunday the 22nd of August, straight after the Sunset Safari.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
Not every day you see so many oxpeckers on any animal, let alone a giraffe. I mean, we counted about 25 of them on that giraffe alone. Well, she's a lucky lady. She's surely not going to have any problems with parasites and ticks for quite some time. Now, there's quite a lot of them around here. There's, I think there's about 5 or 6 giraffe in this journey, or tower of giraffe, depending on who you ask and whether they're moving or not. But it's interesting, these oxpeckers that were on the giraffe, and their main food is blood. And obviously, ticks will be nice, small, little bags of blood that they can consume. And we often see them as well cleaning wounds of animals. And what they do is they keep it clean. They often take off the scabs, the dead material, and it often induces more bleeding, which they then drink. And that's how they keep an animal's wound clean. Perfect example of mutualism.
Hello and welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. And just as you guys have been seeing a giraffe with a whole lot of oxpeckers on, we have just come across yet another waterhole, and how's this giraffe having a drink here? It is the coolest thing to watch them drink. Look how he's bent his legs to get right down. And he's got his head down. Oh, he looks quite thirsty, I must say. And up. That little flick of the head is always the most awesome thing to see. Look at that dark purple tongue. Yeah. Look at that eye. This is oh my word, another one-eyed giraffe. And we saw that giraffe earlier. Oh, he's on his way now. We saw that giraffe earlier with the injured eye. This guy's eye is completely closed. And he's been joined by a couple of oxpeckers. I think the oxpeckers actually irritated him a little bit there. He now has a few on his back there. But it always is the most fascinating thing to watch him drink. And we got here just in time. He walked up slowly and stopped, scanned around, came a bit closer. It was a very slow process. And then eventually went down for that little drink. I wonder if he'll come back for some more. Licking his lips. Desmond, you are very right. It is so special to see giraffes drinking like that. It's such a interesting thing. I mean, they're so tall, so to watch them sort of really spread the legs and hunker down like that to get a drink, and always, head down for a short time, and then bouncing up quickly like that and spraying water out of their mouth as they go. He's shifting around. Let's see if he wants to come back for some more. Look at how he's not quite happy with those oxpeckers. But we're gonna move around here. I think we might wait here for a little bit and see what happens. But I'm sure we'll see you guys again soon.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. One of my favorite things about walking is to look at tracks and different field signs, and often those tells us a story about what has been happening in the area. If we have a closer look over here on this little patch of soil, there's actually a lot that's going on. Right over here, we've got that little conical shaped pit, which belongs to antlion larvae. You'll notice that there's no squiggly lines moving away from it, which would suggest that it moved off. So he's still most likely inside there waiting for ants to pop into his little hole so that he can feed on them. And then here we've got a fairly large depression that was formed, and this was created by one of the spurfells or franklins. It's most likely a crested franklin that does this. And what he was doing was having a little dust bath to get rid of old preen gland oil which was on his feathers, and to get rid of other parasites as well. It's also believed to have some form of a cooling effect. And then right over here we can see the tracks of the spurfell as it's moving off. The small size is what most likely would indicate that it was a crested franklin. And if we move right over here, we'll also notice a number of other tracks. Very small heart-shaped track right over here, split in half in the middle. This is duiker, also known as a common or grey duiker, that moved through here. One of my favorite small antelopes, specifically because he is the odd one out of all the antelopes, as he doesn't comply to the normal rules of eating just plant material. He's also known to eat rats, mice, and I personally observed where he's also caught birds in the past. And then over here we've got zebra. Very round, long track. That's the hind foot over here, which is slightly longer than the broader and rounder front foot. And how we know that it's zebra is this little triangular track right over here in the center, which is referred to as a frog. We can also separate the two different species of zebra in South Africa from one another. The one is mountain zebra and the other is the plain zebra that we have over here. We don't have mountain zebras, but when you look at the rim at the back part of the foot over here, it meets against the frog, where there's a negative space between the rim and the frog of mountain zebras. Mountain zebra also generally has larger feet, and their feet has got almost like a rubbery substance underneath, which enables them to walk on rocky surfaces. And then here, one of our antelope species, which we have in the area, also fairly arced outer line round at the back, and this is a kudu that walked through here, most likely female if we look at the size. And here we can see the other half of the track. When they walk, they deliberately place the hind foot and the front foot, but they don't unnecessarily make noises as if they are walking. This is called a direct register that has taken place over here. It's just amazing how much can happen in such a small little area, and how many stories can be interpreted from less than a square meter of soil. We're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
So we are still bumbling around here. We're not getting any luck with searching for that leopard. Perhaps she's in the drainage line. The track coming there. So we're gonna do more water hold ahead of us, and then perhaps head back to the lines. Otherwise, would be maybe later they would be doing at least something, maybe moving about. It's drainage line here, so much drainage line, and that's where the leopards always hide. And then so many of the prey species that they may luckily also be seen along this drainage line system, such as the bush bugs and nyalas in this area. Maybe she have made a kill there. We would not know that until we maybe find her.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. We are still here at the waterhole. The giraffe had a few more drinks and then has now decided to slowly move along. But let's just take a bit of time here and enjoy what's going on around us. There's some ducks on the far side and this giraffe walking into the distance with the sort of sun setting, just peeking through the clouds a little bit. It's such a nice spot, a bit windy, but let's hear what there is to hear.
Okay, so we've shot around, and actually, majority of the pride has chosen to settle in this raw riverbed, so there's quite a bit of water. A few of them had a drink. Elephants moved further south, so they're not bothering them anymore. And now the cubs gave the lioness a fright there. That's cute. The cubs, I think they enjoy this. You know, now everyone's up and awake and they have someone to play with. Good for them. But one by one, they will slowly but surely make their way up here towards us, because some of your older lionesses are already up here. Big stretches going on. There we go, one by one. The white male's not up. Quite a cool spot to be in, photography-wise, as well, because they walk up straight towards you, or us, and you guys with the camera. You get a nice low angle. A beautiful light on them now as well. See the white line, just their spots stick out more than the tawny. Jerome, I agree. He's going to be huge. His brother is actually bigger. His tawny brother, shoulder white. But no, this guy, he's got a good mass on him. And yeah, there's just good genes all around here. Very good genes in the Birmingham pride. I mean, these lionesses have forever been known to be rather big. I must say, I mean, the Ross males must be super aggressive to hold on to this territory for so long. I'm very, very, very surprised and actually very happy with it. So hopefully they can stay another year, hold on to it for about another year, because you need the small cubs to survive. So something has now caught their attention. I don't know if a bird maybe came down to drink from a little pool there, but you can see all the cubs are focused in that direction. Of course, everything for them is a game now. And it's how they learn how to hunt. They'll start stalking little birds and just play around. So yeah, we'll sit here for a while, I think. It's just getting interesting. But it sounds like Trish is up and about from Cape Town, so she also just wants to say hi to everyone.
Have you seen a leopard yet this drive? Because you just have. Hi everyone, it's me Tishala, being a leopard, lazing about on this nice tree here in the secret forest in Constantia. And I've got Jason on camera with me, and we're just, you know, taking it easy like a tree. And I thought, oh my goodness, the shape of it is so perfect for a leopard. But unfortunately, there have been no sightings of a Cape leopard in this particular spot. I mean, those are few and far between anyway. But this tree is just, it's perfect. So what's the next best thing? It's the next best thing. But this one as well, that kind of dreamy front page leopard magazine one. That's a goodie too. And then, oh, what was that? Another leopard? They're so great. I miss my leopards. But now we have other things to look at. And like I said, we're here in the forest, and like I said, we're here in the forest and the environment, because we hardly get to see forest. The way that the forest changes over time is really, really nice to observe. So spending time in these areas, and then now we're going to come out of winter and go into autumn, which means that we're going to go into spring, because spring is after winter, everyone. Go into spring, and then we're going to see quite an abundance. And then we're going to see quite an abundance of ones, after all. majority of the vegetation in this forest, actually, I've learned, unfortunately, is mostly non-indigenous, but I really do try to show you the things that are. And of course, little animals like frogs and things like that. This environment is perfect. So that's why we're sticking around here. And we'll be doing some investigation this afternoon.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, and we have come across the most special sighting. We found some rhinos out in the open grassland, and you can see one facing either way, and it's a mom with a little calf, and we can just see the tops of the ears of the calf and its back sticking out above the grass. And a little bit to their left is actually a third rhino, quite a bit bigger, looks like an adult male. But what an amazing sight to see out in the open like this. And tough to see the jaws from this angle. So obviously here in South Africa we're looking at the white rhino and black rhino. Easiest way to tell the difference would be to look at the jaw, where the white rhino is having those square lips. But with this guy's head down, oh, he's even going down for a little nap. Look at that. Now with the head down, you can't see the jaw. So the easiest way to tell the difference from back here is actually to look at the back. Now we can't see right now with this rhino. If we look at the other two, and we zoom in on the back, you'll actually see, look at mom for example, there's that very prominent hump over her shoulders, and then if you go along the back towards the tail, there's another prominent hump sort of in like the lower third of the back, and then another hump right at the back where the hips are. That third hump in the middle tells us that this is a white rhino. A black rhino would have a more smooth back. They don't have that hump between the shoulders and the hips. And apart from that, you can see the head is down at a 45-degree angle towards the ground. Black rhinos' heads tend to come out straight along the back because, being browsers, the black rhinos would be feeding on leaves and twigs mostly, and this area is actually not a bad place to find them as well. A lot of thorn trees, sickle bushes and pod thorns around here, which they favor. But out in the open like this, head down, we're looking at a few white rhino over here. And as you may notice, they have been dehorned for their protection, which helps us to ensure their safety. But what a beautiful sight we have over here. I have a question coming in from Carly asking if the cows only have one calf at a time. Yes, they can only have one at a time. They are so big, it would be hard to imagine a female rhino carrying 6 little ones inside of her. Although you can sometimes see a white rhino with two calves next to her. That's usually what we call a satellite calf. So one will always be hers, typically the smaller one of the two. But sometimes when they separate, so for example this mom now, she has this little one. When she gives birth to her next calf, she will chase this one away. And that little calf will then have to fend for itself while she looks after the new calf. That calf, being still a little on the young side and unable to comfortably live alone, will actually move around and latch onto another mother and calf somewhere. Sometimes just an adult, but often a mother and a calf. And a mom that is currently supporting a calf will allow this other calf to tag along. So that's why you'll sometimes see three, one small calf and one slightly bigger calf, just until they are comfortable to move around and be alone and, full adult. But when they give birth, very alert, Only one calf at a time. Now you'll notice those ears swinging back and forth and back and forth. Mom is very alert where she is. In weather like we have this afternoon, with this real windy, gloomy weather, it's actually quite uncommon to see rhinos out in the open grassland. They're very shy when it comes to, very windy conditions. So you can see, while she can't hear as well, she's extra alert now, constantly looking around. We might stay with them a while longer and see if anything else happens. Maybe they come closer to the road.
As we celebrate Women's Month in South Africa, we acknowledge and thank those women committed to conservation, working tirelessly both on the front lines and behind the scenes. The Endangered Wildlife Trust is proud of the women who dedicate their lives to fighting to save species, conserve habitats, and benefit people. Here's to strong women everywhere who are dedicated to protecting forever together.
We're here at the Advanced Rifle Handling Challenge, which is actually lots of challenges in one to gauge the contestants' skills at different distances and different speeds. This is probably the challenge that the contestants are the most nervous about. So let's get them locked and loaded. Are now doing the Hades halt, where they have to run back and forth to a target, turn, take aim, and shoot. And this simulates a chase in a real environment and gets the heart pumping and the blood pressure up. James gave us a demonstration, and the skill involved in this exercise is remarkable.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
I love being a cam op for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
So there's a bit of movement, grooming. Every now and then you'll just hear a sneeze when we're still surrounded by 22 lions. So you can actually just pick them up by sound. But here, what we focus on is quickly this little family of three. That's mom and her two daughters. Now, there's a younger male coming to join them. So you might see them touch heads. This is the brother of the white male. No, not even a touch of the head. So he's looking in the direction where another female has walked. So she's already decided to go north. And there we go. Be nice to each other. Very, very social animals. It's lovely to see, except for the ras male. Which now the grumpy ras male, he has just emerged from the riverbed in the background. Oh, this white lioness is looking so good, so healthy. So she gives us a yawn. And a couple of vultures flying in this direction as well, so they'll just circle the area, see if there's any sign of a carcass. If they are hooded vultures, they might land and eat some of the poo. Go back down. That elephant did wake them up before they actually wanted to wake up. But this is often what they'll do. They'll walk a couple of meters, maybe 300, 400 meters, then lie down and just wait. And walk again, then lie down. Roth, I believe that the white lions visioned would be exactly as good as the other lions. Yeah, I don't think the pale color really impairs their vision at all. Don't really know if it works like humans do, but I don't think they struggle to see. I mean, this lioness can see everything the other lions see, and they pick up just as quickly on anything. So now they're just watching the vulture fly over. That's why all of them are focused upwards, because it is a scavenging bird. It's actually lovely having them all face up like that. The beautiful eyes. Funny enough, there's a tawny lioness here with blue eyes as well, which is absolutely amazing. She's still a cub, but of all the 6 cubs, my favorite. Naughty as well. She'll go and she'll wake everyone up and go step on everyone. Usually like that. They're all looking back now because there was a bit of a groan coming from that side. A low contact call, strangely enough. Yes, it'd be amazing for the people here if one of the rice bells had to start roaring tonight and this entire pride just roared around him. Sadly, I won't be here. We've got Rule coming in soon, so he'll have to replace me. Mind you, we've been here for 2 hours and 15 minutes, so cannot complain. I hear another lioness behind us, also groaning. Maxwell, there is a hierarchy in the pride. We've got 2 dominant males. They eat first. They're the most aggressive. And then goes down from that. I mean, the lionesses and the sub-adults and the cubs, they all eat together. Yes, they fight a lot. I mean, I was talking earlier about how social lions are, but there is no love when it comes to a carcass. Literally no love. So you can see they are now focused on the lionesses that walked past us earlier are now going back towards where the cubs are. So everyone's just watching everyone here. But Maxwell, yes, yeah, definitely hierarchy in the pride. Big males eat first. They are bigger, stronger, more aggressive. Actually very aggressive, especially the dark-maned one. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's going to be the more dominant of the 3 young males that is here in front of us. The white male, his brother, and then the one that's about 2 months younger once they end up leaving. I'm going to love to follow their story. It'll be interesting to see where they go, whether they go to Sabi Sands, whether they go into the Manyaleti, maybe Timbavati, even Plasiri, or they just go into Kruger National Park. It'll be very, very, very cool. See all of them returning back. It might have been one of the older lionesses, just contact called, maybe white-dot female, and all of them have decided to go west again. Interesting dynamics. So those 2 that are walking there are 2 sisters, but they look unbelievably well. Everyone well fed. The only one limping here is the old lioness.
of the most graceful and handsome antelope in Africa. This is an area where you wouldn't expect this particular antelope. They're normally found in riverine or thicker, denser woodland areas. And this is a really fine specimen. Wow. This is Ngala, a very close relative of kudu, which is mainly found in southern Africa, South Africa, parts of Zimbabwe, Mozambique, somewhat into Malawi, and this slightly open woodland is not its typical habitat. It's a browser that loves very thick foresty, riverine or riparian areas, as we refer to. I believe he's in transit, which means he's very likely moving from one feeding area to another, hence the very quick pace. Normally seen walking very cautiously, very slowly in its dense habitat. And that explains that he's walking fairly fast towards another thick area. Wow, that was such a beautiful walk by. And now it's time just to reflect on the day and just soak up this lovely, sunny African afternoon.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just ended our walk at Leopard Dam and we're enjoying that last little bit of sun as well as a few birds. And some of the birds that are coming down to come and have a drink is wire-tailed swallows. We're just skimming the surface so that they can get a little drink. We've also noticed that there's some free-banded plovers, what was on the other side, and a yellow-billed hornbill that also flew past. Our resident ducks are still on the pool, with all 8 of those little ones. If you are curious, if they're doing well, they're doing exceptionally well. There's a wire-tailed swallow coming through again. I love swallows. They're incredibly fast-flying birds. They're often quite confused with swifts. However, they've got much more broader bases to the wing. That tape is sharp compared to that sickle-shaped wings of swifts, and they tend to flap their wings more often than that swifts do. I'm going to keep on looking at a few more birds and see what's happening. But in the meanwhile, I just would like to encourage you to enjoy that beautiful sunset. It's almost as if I was done in yesterday with overcast weather, no sunset. And it looks like if we're in for a beautiful one. We're going to spend a little bit more time over here, and meanwhile we're going to hand you over to Andrew. It sounds like if he's found some elephants.
So here everybody, from a sunset to an elephant. Now you can see also the sun just right behind them there. So they are mobile around here. It just happens that we actually come across them on our way to those lines. Very skew tusker, that female. One actually grew across underneath, one straight and normal. So it happens maybe when she was younger, it happens. It twists a little bit, but then it continue grow straight. But she still find access to use that trunk to feed, drink waters and things. It's quite a beautiful herd here. They're all just gonna surround us, perhaps. So one of the female, she also sweating temporina, which is the glands where that secretion actually it's sort of a liquid, but it can be very much sometimes on the females. On the male would have them. Because these are the African bush elephants, so that only difference with the Indian elephants would you have only males. Indian elephants would sweat those temporary glands, but with these species, male and the females, they would sweat those. It's one of the big female that she actually crossing right in front of us. Just take a listen to all of the sound they're making around here. So everybody, we're going to stick with this elephant. In the meantime, let's go back to Ron, where he found these elephants again. This is in Phinda.
Guys, this is epic, like really cool, because now in one frame you see 20 of the Birmingham Pride and an elephant in the back flapping its ears. Like really very, very, very cool. What an afternoon. Cubbies are getting playful. They were chasing each other for a little while. The rest are just settling. It's like, you know, they just wanted the last bit of sun rays, soaking it all in. And then, yeah, as it gets colder, they'll get more active. But again, here comes a grumpy Roswell. Just goes to show how the white lines do not blend in whatsoever. Really are just glow in the dark. Been trying to, so I've got 100 to 400 more lens on my camera, and I've been trying to fit all of them into one frame, and it's just impossible. But yeah, can't complain over a sunny day, can you? What a wonderful experience. Nice seeing the two Roswells sit together like that. Okay, we are focused on vultures. So those hooded vultures landed there because that's where the rest of the, this pride was. And they made a bit of poo, and so the vultures are eating the poo. Actually, the closest I've seen the Roswells lie to each other and not fight or growl at each other. Sometimes the one's now put his head down, the other one's still got his head up. Okay, so we are going to leave them now. We'll make space for Yapi to come enjoy the sight. And yeah, call it a day with the Birmingham Pride.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. We have found this massive elephant bull slowly making his way through the open grasslands. And it is quite a dramatic setting with this sort of pale grass and the wind blowing and these dark skies looming up above us. These rain clouds are rolling in, and I don't know, very, very likely that we're going to get a little wet just now. But for now, we are actually having an amazing time out here. And this big bull has just been strolling across here. We haven't seen any signs of the herds nearby. I think he's just out on his own mission. We know from their behavior that elephant bulls are quite nomadic and will just move around, feeding as they like, maybe joining up every now and then, and only really when they're in must will they be driven to join the herds. The guy is walking towards those thickets there. Quite a dense, low thicket of scented pod thorns mostly. A lot of good food there for him. I wonder if he'll stop and feed on some of those green leaves. And look at those ears. Can you see how jagged the edges are on those ears? A little bit of sand on his lower back. You can see it's quite dusty there. Must have been dust bathing at some point, but most of it has been rubbed off by now. They stopped to feed a little. And strolling on. We're not far from where we saw those rhinos just now. Got a question coming in from Jackie asking if elephants have feelings in their ears. Yes, they do. While it's a very thin layer of skin and and then those massive blood vessels on the other side of their cartilage. They still have a lot of nerve endings throughout the ear, and a lot of these tiny little hairs all over their body. And those hairs are actually, even though that skin is so thick, those hairs help to sense even the lightest of touches. So if you had to take a close look at the ears, you'd still see these tiny little hairs throughout that, and they can feel something as light as like a fly landing on their skin. Look at that. Such a big animal, and yet silent as they walk across. When he crossed the road right in front of us, it was you can't even hear them putting their feet down. Such an amazing thing. Like I said, we're not far from where we saw those rhinos. I don't think we can see them from here, but they were just off to the left-hand side. We've looped around to the other side of that clearing. But it is quite a sight. We're not far from where we saw those lions this morning. There's been no sign of them around here, so we might start looping around now and trying to see if we can see some tracks, because they weren't there where we saw them last. Look how he's slowed down there, feeding in the thickets perhaps. Generally when they move out this side, we'll actually see them just sort of pass through these thickets into the next clearing, and after that clearing there's a much bigger thicket there, and the elephants will often spend time in there. Just disappearing. We're gonna leave this elephant to his own devices here and keep searching for the pride of lions.
Calling all WildEarth explorers, we have a new and frankly awesome travel prize for you to win. andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve encompasses an impressive 28,000 hectares of protected wildlife land in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. As you have seen on WildEarth, andBeyond Phinda showcases one of the continent's finest game viewing experiences and is well known for close-up sightings of the elegant yet elusive cheetah, as well as the rare black rhino. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 16th of September, and you and a friend could be heading to the magnificent Phinda Mountain Lodge, where you will spend 3 nights escaping the real world at this ultimate safari location. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of 100 meters down the river and was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton, he's a big unit. I got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And yeah, we put that land cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of the head, and it caught on his ossicones at the top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
reaching the end of the day, and I always find it intriguing how animals move out of their normal habitat. Now, this doesn't seem to be wildebeest habitat, and they're probably drawn to a bit of grass close to the termite mound that they are close to. And with termite mounds, you always find fertile soils around it, and that is what has drawn those wildebeest towards it. Now, wildebeest will prefer open areas with short grass, and whilst you cannot see it where we are now, we are on one of our fire breaks, which is relatively open, and they are in all likeliness going to move into that open area for the night, which gives them a much better chance of seeing predators in time. Good afternoon, Sadie. Yes, indeed, there are different species of wildebeest. In fact, only two species, the blue wildebeest is what you are looking at now, and the black wildebeest, which is only found in South Africa, in the central parts. The blue wildebeest, however, is found in South Africa all the way through the savannas and woodlands of Africa, well into northeast Africa. Now, I think what you're probably referring to is the wildebeest in East Africa, for instance, the Mara and the Serengeti systems, does appear to be slightly different. So even though they're the same species, it's a blue wildebeest, it's a different variety or subspecies called the white bearded gnu or wildebeest. We also refer to them as gnu. This would be the blue wildebeest or brindled gnu, but they are very close relative. In fact, same species, just different subspecies. And then there is a few others around Africa. In southern Tanzania and northern Mozambique, you would find the Nyasa wildebeest, which have a very conspicuous white band across the bridge of the nose. Other than that, looks very much the same like the one you're looking at the moment. Then the black wildebeest are very, very different. They've got a white tail, very long white horse-like tail, and the horns don't drop to the side, they drop forwards and point forwards. And they've got this massive black crest right on the forehead, and that particular species is native to South Africa alone. Gabby, very good question. Yes, indeed, they do. What we're looking at here is a big old male, and typically what these big adult wildebeest males will do, they'll try and find themselves showcase areas, which is usually very open areas with very good grazing, usually close to water. And there will be quite a bit of fighting and combat and competition between these males for possession of these areas. Now, you can imagine if I'm the strongest male in an area, I will be able to get myself through fighting onto the best piece of real estate. And guess what? That is exactly where the ladies will go. That's where the cows will go. So it's again coming back to that whole concept of the strongest survive and the strongest get to breed. And this guy, and this is what you see here, is just exactly what's happening. He is now advertising that this is his place, this is his domain. And he's rubbing his forehead and his horns against that branch, partially because it might be itchy, but also just under the eyes there's two glands, the preorbital glands, and they give off scent, which will tell other wildebeest walking past that branch that this area is occupied. Wow, what a lovely scene. Seems to be fixed on something. Good afternoon, Jeffrey. That is another great question. Quite a number of antelope have these pre-orbital glands on their faces, but not all of them. To name a few that would have them: wildebeest, steenbok, most of the hartebeest species that we don't really see much in this region. In East Africa, taupi, which is in the hartebeest family as well. But for instance, impala, kudu, those type of antelope don't. They've got glands in different areas, for instance. And it's also not the only gland that wildebeest have. They also have a gland in between the front hoofs called the interdigital gland. Each and every antelope have different methods to mark their territory and to announce that to others within that species. A couple of days ago we were discussing parasite control in animals, and it is partially what he's doing. They're covering himself with dust, and dust will smother certain parasites like fleas and ticks and so forth. But in addition to that, he's also at one of his showcase posts, a little sandy depression that is dug out, and he's just, often they would lie there and there will be a lot of scent around. He'll urinate there, he will defecate all around it, and that will just leave that layer of scent that is just very, very strong and pungent. Especially if you're another wildebeest, you'll recognize it instantly. They also use vocalization to advertise their territory. They've got this hum sort of noise that sounds almost like a chainsaw that's being started up. We're gonna slowly but surely move on. The sun is basically setting at the moment, and we're gonna find a nice place to appreciate the sunset.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, and we've managed to find another elephant bull. And he's just crossing out of the woodlands, heading to the open grassland. He's going to pop out behind us here. And he looks like he's following pretty much the same route that we saw the other elephant taking. So I wonder if he was with that other bull earlier. Maybe they split up a little bit. But he's on his way back out. Look, there he's crossing over that gap. And you see much longer tusks than we saw on the other elephant. It's quite beautiful. Yeah, he's going to come out behind us. I may reposition in a bit. That's the limit. All right. Let's just turn around here where we are. Oh, the sky is getting so dark. I can actually see rain on the horizon already. There he is, just in front of us. Such a dramatic sky. Look how he's swinging that trunk back and forth, ripping the little twig out the ground there. Eating all those fresh shoots there from the, it looks like maybe little saplings of those thorn trees over there. Picking all those fresh leaves, and with all those little thorns on it, doesn't bother him at all. Really cool to see these bulls out and about at the moment. Not too far from here, on just the southern part of this open area, so to our right-hand side of the elephant, there's a new reserve that just recently joined Phinda, and it's a really, really exciting thing, and we've just recently dropped the fences, and with those fences dropping, all the elephants, it took them, funny enough, it took them about, nearly a month, or at least a good few weeks to discover that the fences were down, and we would actually follow their tracks along the fence, or where the fence line used to be, but they wouldn't cross in. And eventually they sort of realized, and they crossed in, and now they've noticed that there's like, I think this reserve is about 1,600 hectares, which has now formed part of Phinda. And they've now realized that there's now 1,600 hectares extra of unspoilt, untouched, sort of thickets and woodlands and land for them to feed on that hasn't seen an elephant in, many years. So all the elephants have piled in there at the moment. So it's almost impossible to see a herd of elephants anywhere else on the reserve, because they're all off exploring this new wonderful piece of land, and in a few months then they'll move back out and reestablish their natural routines, but for now they're all enjoying this new area. So to see these bulls out and about is quite nice, because a lot of them moved in there as well, at least at first, and he might even go in there later. Like I said, it's just a kilometer or two from where we are now. But even though it looks gloomy and with a fair bit of rain on the horizon, he's not at all bothered about it. It really is a beautiful sight, though. We're going to leave this elephant on his feeding session out here, and we'll see what else we can find.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world. live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
So we're back to the duck man, but it's amazing how he's just turning that carcass to a pillow. He's just resting his head against the head of that zebra foal. You can see how he's just actually trying to position himself as we speak. I wasn't too sure what he's doing when I got here. Thought he's just biting it and taking a nap while biting it, but not just taking it easy. So it is the two females in this area already. And that blonde eye, she's right close to us. That's the blonde eye. And the other one, she's just behind the bush. It won't be a greater visual there, but I think that's where she's going to be going into. That is a stumpy tail lying on the far side, one of the young female. She's got her tail cut off. So I know back there we count 7 of them. So there were 2 missing, and then there are perhaps still 7 of them back in their area. The rest of the line is there. And there are 2 females in this area. That makes sense that there's still probably 9 of them. And then 10 including the duck mane. There was a perfect greeting there. It was actually lying separately. Snoring. Duck mane. So they're all just gonna hope for probably have a turn into that kill, but I doubt it won't, unless if he feels like leaving that kill. But I doubt he won't. He would stick in that, and there were just gonna be these girls waiting around here because they can't go near. Even these young male, they can't even have their turn back there. They would push it off. So we're going to be stationary here looking at these sightings.
Well, it sounds like the lions are sleeping quite a bit today. We're just going to sit and listen to these elephants going through the grass and just experience in silence. There they're gone. That is the reality of safari in Africa, is that one moment you're on top of it, next moment they move off. So we're going to just show you how to relocate an elephant. And the key is not to make it angry. And we will, I can see him up ahead. It's moving quite fast. But what I will try and do is try and find the rest of this group, which is just to our left. And there we go. There we go. Interesting, that little notch in his ear. And that's something you can always use to identify elephants. Such a lovely scene. Earlier we had a question about aging elephants and so forth. Now I want to just touch on another topic. Identifying elephants, and this is more not elephants identifying each other from different elephants, more for us to identify them. And that could be for various reasons, usually for research, which is usually the main reason why we would identify an elephant. And there's again several things that we look at, and that little notch in its ear is typically something that we could use. Now, elephants get these notches as they walk through the bush, or it could be fighting in the case of bigger males, but that is almost like a fingerprint that you can use. No two elephants will have the same scratches or notches or tears in the ears. Quite widespread. There doesn't seem to be a very large group from what I see around us. It seems like today's menu is red bush willow, which is these little orangey leaves that you see all around us. And we're going to be just staying with them for a minute. They're still out in the woods with the little available light we had. And in the meantime, we're going to send you over to Trishana at the Magical Forest.
I spent some time, Jason and I both spent some time fighting off gremlins, but our reward was this beautiful, beautiful scene right here. These are tiny little egg-like things, just young mushrooms growing amongst the moss here. Isn't that just too wonderful? That is almost everything I like in a nutshell. Let me just push this down here so you can see the stalk. Can you see? Most definitely a little mushroom. Oh, and mushrooms develop their cap looks egg-like like that until it spreads to reveal the gills. And the mosses are a group of plants that are non-vascular. So, you know, we've always talked about, when you talk about marulas, we talk about the phloem and the xylem and the different vascular tissues that have jobs in the plant. So mosses, and then also their relatives like liverworts and things like that. We call those bryophytes. I remember learning about them in university. So they're non-vascular. So they do have kinds of stems and simple leaves, but they not as good as conducting nutrients as an actual vascularized plant. And then also they don't have seeds. Mosses have, in a similar way to ferns actually, have little sporophytes, which I don't see any on this one. I don't see any nearby, but it looks like a tiny stalk, maybe the height of these mushrooms. Tiny stalk with a bundle of spores. I was about to say seeds. A bundle of spores at the top. And then that's how they're able to actually grow and to fertilize. I really do love mosses. I think that they're just so beautiful. And they're also a nice little home for some mushrooms.
Trishal, good luck there in Cape Town. So ourselves, we're still sitting here on this very beautiful fire break. As you can see, the duckman hasn't given anybody a chance. So he's still keeping his meal by himself. And the two females are still lying on the far side, on the left-hand side. And the rest of the pride, and they still haven't arrived here. So they're probably still in that watering hole. So we'll be sitting here for sure, because that sighting is also occupied on the other side. So we'll wait here. If they feel they're gonna move their or make their way to this direction, we will see them coming down, but they weren't gonna overpower that man. They would definitely have to respect him. As always, they have to respect the male in the pride. And he's just taking it easy, as you can see, trying to probably digest the one leg up. We've been talking about this, with the lions, when they put their legs up, it's all about, since they sweat through their legs instead of their whole entire body. Wilson, yeah, commenting, saying that he's still happy to see a duckman sitting with his meal. Yeah, it's so important. That's why it's always great for the male that is dominating the pride. Sticking around with the females, they finally get to share with anything that they killed. And when they isolate away from the pride, and we know it begins from this point where they may eventually make their way out of here because they cannot not sit and waiting for someone who has a meal and he's got to eat and they're waiting. So eventually, what the pride may do, they will probably vanish and try hunt something else. And they are so successful compared to the male. They may kill and then make maybe a bigger thing and then eat out there while he's still sticking with this one. And then the minute you realize the meat is finished, this is where you'll realize you need the pride again. And they will be long gone. So this is where he has to call about, communicate through sound. Rajesh, you're asking would they start fighting over the kill? This has actually happened already, and then I doubt it's going to happen again. So beginning of the feed here in that carcass, as you can see, this is actually a young zebra where it's not actually fully grown yet. But there's still a little bit of that left. Perhaps they're eating it just a little bit. The minute they begin, this is where he arrived into this area. And then move them off, take it. So they won't fight back. They'll perhaps just wait. If they don't want to go away, they would wait until he's finished. If it was other of his brother's members, of course, there would be a lot of a growl, fight. It's scary actually to see this happen because now the dominee is there, who is bigger, who is smaller. But when it comes to the meat, one would have a side of a bite, another one would have a portion on the other side. But they're all just going to hold on to that, trying to get with the pieces as much as they can. But that goes forever when you see that happen. So we got them yesterday, was it the day before? This is where we saw the male. He looked at very much, you could see when you look at the tummy, you see the whole ribs. Because then he was an empty stomach. But now with his tummy expanded a little bit, so you see less of these, all the marking of the ribs. But then he's got a meal, he's got a food for a night. Perhaps tomorrow he will be around here again. And it's quite a nice and open there. So everybody, I'm going to reposition myself here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to sit here and watch this duck man.
RSA has a long history, over 90 years, of being involved and even pioneering aspects of the conservation sector in South Africa. Over that long history, we have realized that all of the issues that we are facing both locally and globally are due to human impact. Therefore, we need to concentrate on working with people, and that is what WESA does. What makes me passionate about the work that we do at WESA, and in particular the work that I engage in, is actually connecting with people. Currently the work that I'm working on is working with youth in a skills development program, and just to meet the youth and to hear their stories and to bring them opportunities that we hope will have some impact on their lives really, really fuels me to get up every morning. A huge shout out to the women that I work with, as well as to all the women that are contributing hugely within the environmental sector, both in South Africa and in the world.
Our competitors are in the room behind me right now for the birding challenge, where they have to look at pictures and identify the birds and then separately listen to bird calls and identify them. But it's not easy. This is going to be the toughest one. Here we have the previous year's winners. You can see they're trying to see if they can remember all the answers, and look at them taking a sneak peek.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
So, everybody, we're still sitting here. Now we have switched to an infrared light. As you can see, already the color of the picture is not the way it was. So we're trying to make sure that we still have a time to spend with the duck man. Hopefully we got to see him eat while we're around here, because we arrived here and then he was just lying down there, just like that. And that feeding method, because there's no such a competition for him, you knew for sure that the female won't take chances going to claim that kill again. So he would take his own time, rest as much as he can until he get probably hungry again in the next 2 hours or so, next 3 hours, depending. Today was not actually very hot, so digesting on the lions or the cats can be very less compared to when it's very far too hot. Just having a lions on a distance, that's why he's trying to figure it out now. Ranger, so you're asking what the vulture feed during the night in its carcass. Vulture, they don't move around at night, so they would be just sitting up in trees and then all they wait for tomorrow. That if it's ever happened, the carcass left behind, which I doubt it won't that happen. So they only eat when there's no cats around. But with the lions being here, guiding these kills, no chance for the vulture. Was actually hooded vulture when we came here earlier on. But they were just keeping their distances. They didn't actually get any close to that kill at all. So, competition on feeding on the pride of lions, since they have a kill down. For example, they don't have time to pluck the fur off the skin, which is only leopard would have that much chance, because they are solitary animals and they don't have to kind of a rush on feeding on a kill. If it gets stolen, it gets stolen. If it's ever on the floor, oops, it's going to turn to us now. Look at that. You can see he didn't even want to stand up to change that position, so just roll over. So lion, they won't pluck the fur on the skin. So everybody, we're going to stay here. Again, I'm going to be sending you across to Trishal in Cape Town.
We have a flower. Remember I was telling you how many of the species that we find in these forests and across forests in South Africa, in fact, across landscapes in South Africa, are not always indigenous. This is one such flower. It's the large periwinkle, or the greater periwinkle. It's very beautiful, lovely lilac color, but it's not native. In fact, it's native to the Mediterranean. In fact, quite a few of the things I've been seeing around are native to the Mediterranean, Western Mediterranean. This greater periwinkle being one of them. This particular little sliver of forest has an interesting history. So apparently it was created. I don't know if how true this is. This is all anecdotal. I heard this from passers-by, that the Prince of Wales at some point in the past, not current Prince of Wales, made this forest or created this little slice or something along those lines. And also, you know that the stream comes through here. So it would have been a good place to set up camp. Yeah, I think it was a camp, because they could get fresh water too. So that obviously meant that trying to maintain it as an indigenous forest was not particularly important. And having these possibly familiar looking plants may have been as a result of seeds carried in people's belongings, shoes, etc., or just by bringing them here because they thought that they looked pretty. So many species come in like this. And also it's important here to make the distinction between an alien species and an alien invasive species. So while this one is an alien species, I'm not sure if it is actually invasive. In fact, a lot of people grow these flowers ornamentally as well, so maybe I shouldn't blame the past. These seeds could have just wafted through from nearby homes also, as well as over time. But a lot of the ferns we've been seeing as well, like the tree fern that we looked at in the same area near the river a couple of, days ago that we were here. Those tree ferns, the scaly tree ferns, it's possible that it's a scaly fern to an African one. So an interesting mix here. I just thought I'd show you this periwinkle because it's one that you probably will recognize even if you're from different parts of the world. And it is very beautiful, but it's not one that's indigenous.
Okay, so we've left the lions. It sounds like they are still in the exact same area. Of course, we don't shine the spotlight on the cubs yet, so everyone has now left them, which is quite nice. But I mean, still, what an unbelievable scene. Just all the lions in a clearing. Just stunning. What a great afternoon. Starting to cool down now, that's why we're driving so slow. It's not bad yet. Last night was cloudy, this morning was cloudy, and then tonight's our first clear night, which is quite nice. We'll be able to see some stars. It should be a beautiful moonrise. So we are actually going to head south from here and then sit on a bit of a ridge, and then we'll be able to catch the moonrise coming from the eastern direction. Yesterday was full moon, so tonight should be very, very pretty as well. Like I said, yesterday sadly was cloudy, so we missed the moonrise itself, but I think we'll make up for it tonight.
This is their time. Soon as the sun sets, they come out. And this one just had a little drink and is slowly going to move off into the bush. Pity we couldn't really stick with it long enough. We're actually on our way to go and scout around at the Gowrie Dam. There's been quite a bit of leopard activity there recently. And we came across this hyena, a little, very large female that was just drinking water and now going out on her nightly excursion. Well, we're on our way to just go and scout around at Gowrie Dam. There's been quite a lot of leopard activity there recently, over the last couple of days. Now, we're just working on a feeling here. So we're going to slowly, it's just up ahead, so bear with us. We're going to hopefully be able to locate something. There's been a bit of hyena activity around here as well. Lots of things happening. And let's hold thumbs that the odds is in our favor tonight. It's a pity there was a hyena just now and I just couldn't stay with it long enough. And the dam is literally just to our right. And how crazy will it be if we can find a leopard right now with you on this live safari? I'm just gonna quickly get up this hill slowly, and we need to scan this area quite thoroughly. The thing is, it's quite dense here. They could be 10 meters from you and you would miss it. Trying to search for every little gap in the bush. And just remember, it's not only leopard that could be up and around, it could be virtually anything. Any nocturnal creature. This is that transition period where there's still a few of the daytime animals active and the nocturnals only starting to emerge, so you could expect. And then you get animals like hyena, lion, leopard that are not truly nocturnal. They are what we refer to as crepuscular, which means they're both day and nighttime animals, but more specifically, their peak activity is the hours before and after sunrise and before and after sunset. Depending on what they trying to do that night. Well, let's see what Andrew is busy doing at the moment with the lions until we can hopefully locate a leopard. With the limited time we do have, we will be going over to see what Andrew's up to.
Good luck, Chris, finding the leopard there. It would be a good idea to look for the leopard, more especially now. It's getting slightly cooled off and then darkness has taken place. So it's no change with the duck man. He hasn't actually decided yet when to eat in that carcass. It actually surprises me a lot because I've been actually asked the guys to give me an update if he ever eat or stood up or maybe head down to water, which I knew though for sure he won't head down. Probably just gonna see if there's gonna be any of a change here. And they're more likely to maybe be flat like this until he's hungry again. When? We don't know, because we don't actually see him feed. The last feed he had taken there, nobody was around. But yeah, the male, they're so cool on taking care of the kill, because they know for sure it's hard for them to get a kill. Due to delay on hunting, they would make sure that nothing goes to waste. When he leaves this area, it's going to be perhaps a piece of bone, because of course that's still a young animal. A lot of bones will be taken, skin, perhaps in the mane on that animals that may remain, because it's too fairy there on top of that animal's neck. But those ears, tongues all over, bottom jaws would be taking that. It's just so amazing to see them eat, which they rely on these teeth of theirs, which are cornosal teeth. And every time you hear them work on a skin, it cuts very straight away, very sharpened teeth they have. But both sides of their mouth, except for these sizes teeth they have. Was there also a good choice for the bride to choose a small one out of the group of zebra? So everybody, we're going to stay put here. I'm going to be sending you across to another guide.
Good evening and welcome back. We're here at Phinda and we have just managed to find one of the lionesses. It's been a long search and fortunately for us, the rain has held up. It's still quite windy. I was hoping that the wind would have died down once it got dark, but still very windy. But as we've been driving around, we're not too far from where we saw them this morning, but they must have crossed into these woodlands here on the right-hand side and have sought shelter after that rain that we had this morning. You can see we're right at the edge of the grassland. It's just to the left, and there's the lioness. And we've been around here with no luck, and as we've looped around, she came out. We've only seen this one for now, but the way she's looking back makes me think that the rest are off to the side still. So if we wait around, oh, there's another yawn and laying. Oh, look how she's rolling over like that. I'm sure this is the time now that they're going to be getting active. So if we wait around, there's a fair chance that the rest of the pride will come out. I'm sure that they'll be looking to hunt. Oh, there she's up. Oh, it's our evening ablutions. At least she's polite and moves off into the bushes a little bit for it. Good thing we upwind as well, because that does not smell great. And she's on the move again. We have a lot of comments coming in saying congratulations and thanks for those. We worked really hard this afternoon. We've been super lucky. I mean, we've gotten to see those rhinos, those elephants. We did some amazing birding. But I had wanted to come see these lions because we hadn't seen any movement from them after the morning. So let's stick with them for a bit. We're going to try and follow her because after all the moving they did the last day, I'm pretty sure they still want to hunt. Just want to have a look down here. This is the gap she came out of. No sign of eyes there. She's turned just to the right here. We're going to follow her for a little bit and see perhaps if she leads us to the rest of the pride, or even if she starts looking for some food again. There she crosses off the road.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more. Bookings open on Sunday the 22nd of August, straight after the Sunset Safari.
For me, the best part about being a guide is being able to live out in Africa's wild places and being able to share that with people. Of all the challenges, for me, the one that I'm probably the most comfortable with is the game drive. I think that's what I do most days, so that would probably be what I feel like I'd do the best at. It's like someone's put little Lego blocks up there and made this perfect little sort of statue, and there's another one further along as we drive. One of the challenges I'm the most nervous about would probably be shooting. I think on the day there's always quite a bit of pressure and intimidation, always associated with it, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I hope I'll win this competition, but if I don't, it's still been an experience of a lifetime, and I've learned a lot and met a lot of really, really cool people.
Goodness, look at its wobbly legs. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe we've actually seen it. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh no. Oh, it's okay, little one. Okay.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So everybody, I have to leave that sighting there because of the other vehicles that they were starting to come in, and they were going to shine a spotlight, we know for sure, which they were doing that. So for the sake of the animals, we have to leave that sighting. We're going to search for anything else we're going to find around here. So during this forage, So the mainly animals that you may find this time of the night, they're all nocturnal. So everybody, I'm gonna continue driving. In the meantime, let's go across to Wade.
Welcome back to Phinda. We have struck gold and found the rest of the pride. And look at them coming right past our vehicle now. Isn't that incredible? That lioness led us on the road for a bit, and then we heard her contact call and she cut off. And oh, look at this one stopping to sniff the bushes a little there. And we heard them contact calling, followed the sounds, and have been so lucky to just see the pride again. They're all up and about, so hopefully they're heading back in the direction of the open grassland. Maybe we can get them moving out in the open, but look at this. Yeah, while we've got this lioness, and here she's settled down. The rest of the pride has settled maybe 5 meters behind the vehicle. It shows you just how relaxed they are. The one lioness is up again. We have a comment coming in from Tamsin on how it's such a lion reunion. It is indeed. It's so nice to watch them when they get back together. And this one that we're looking at here, sorry, we're using the infrared camera, but I'm also shining with the red filter on the spotlight. This looks like one of the sub-adults, but if we look just to the left of her, we have one of the large lionesses. I think this might even be the mom who's settled here. If we scan just a bit to the left, there she is there. Look at that. The cubs have moved a little bit further back from us, but I don't want to reposition yet, because if I start the car and move around now, they'll get a fright. Because we are quite close to them, but look at that. We have had some amazing views with this pride the last little while. And I'm sure now they're going to be moving around soon. They might hide the cubs, as they've done the last while. When they really go out hunting, the cubs are still a little on the young side to be hunting with them. This is round about the time that they would start teaching the cubs to hunt, but they won't yet be joining hunts. But this windy evening that we have like this is actually really good for predators. You know, the sound of the grass rustling and the wind blowing helps cover the sound of the lions, and not only that, helps to blow their scent away as well. So it really is advantageous to the predators. I'm sure as they move around this evening, these lionesses are incredibly successful hunters. I think they will be very, very successful this evening. She's just laying over a little bit there, and I can hear the cubs moaning and groaning behind us. I wonder how we're going to get out of here this evening. But wow, what a drive it's been. We have been extremely fortunate, and look at that face. I'm really glad you guys have gotten to enjoy these scenes with us. we are going to wrap up shortly and we'll be heading back towards shelter and safety. I really hope that you all enjoyed your live safari with us this afternoon. And I hope you'll come and join us tomorrow morning for the next live safari with WildEarth.